We're just a month away from the summer transfer window here in our realistic MLS career mode with New England. After a pretty mediocre start to our season, we currently find ourselves 9th place in the Eastern Conference, just outside of those playoff places. And although our forward players like Giacomo Vrioni, Luciano Rodriguez, and Thomas Chonkalai have all been making massive contributions, we've been throwing games and points away with our inability to defend a lead. So I think that's where we need to focus most of our attention next month, strengthening at the back and being better in possession, controlling games much more frequently. We have been placing a lot of faith in first round rookie Tyler Dean, and he has been responsible for a handful of goals that we've conceded this year, but the back line and midfield in front haven't exactly been giving him perfect cover. And with only a little under $7 million left in the transfer budget, we don't exactly have the money to bring in the kind of players who can make a real difference in defense. So let me know in the comments below which approach we should take when the transfer window opens. There's pretty much two directions that we can go. We can try and spend that $7 million as wisely and as efficiently as possible and bring in a couple of players into the playing squad, or we can change our system. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's been playing two up top. We can always remove one of those strikers and add an extra holding midfielder to kind of free up Kyler's heel and take some of those defensive responsibilities off his plate. We do have 5 fixtures in the month of June to get to ahead of the transfer window opening though, beginning with a game against Nashville. You'll see the highlights of that game. We will quick sim this one against New York Red Bulls. We will play Vancouver Whitecaps in full. So this will be our featured game of the episode. You'll see that full 10-minute halves, completely unedited. We will sim this game against Cincinnati, and then we'll round things out with highlights of a return fixture against Columbus Crew. Nashville are going to line up in a 5-3-2 formation. They do actually have a number of players that I recognize. Zimmerman and Lovitz at the back are decent. Yearwood in midfield should contribute as well, but it's a combination up front of Mukhtar and Surridge that should cause us the most difficulties today. As for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's 11, Bobby Wood comes in up front in place of Vrioni, a striker who's really found his feet under the new manager. Noel Buck comes into midfield for the injured Carles Heel, who should be back ahead of our next game against New York. And the back line is somewhat fatigued by Neumann and Lima, all showing signs of stamina drain at this point. We set the tone early in this one. Leonard Maloney picking the ball up in midfield, driving towards the Nashville box and striking towards goal. His shot, however, went harmlessly wide this time, but we would soon get a shot on target and test the Nashville goalkeeper. Leonard Maloney again striking from range, but Willis diving away to his right-hand side and parrying this one away. We kept the pressure up from the resulting corner. Nacho Hill picking up the ball on the edge of the box and having a pop this time. Willis again equal to it. And we forced a third save in quick succession again from the resulting corner. Kessler this time managing to head the ball towards goal from Thomas Chonkalai's cross. Yet again, this would be a theme of the day. Willis made the save. And although we piled on the pressure, we just couldn't make the breakthrough. Willis standing strong in goal for Nashville, but he couldn't do anything about this one. Noel Buck struck from outside of the box this time. A nasty deflection from Walker Zimmerman put it beyond his own keeper. But of course, as we said in the introduction to this episode, we just cannot hold on to a lead. To be fair, this one was a very, very good goal. Again, struck from just outside the box. Found the very top corner. No chance Tyler Dean was getting to this one, but look at the time and space Davis had. Nashville managed to hold on to that 1-1 scoreline for a good while, but we did take the lead after the break. Willis not covering himself in glory on this particular occasion. He had a fantastic game overall, the Nashville goalkeeper, but he really let himself and his team down with this one. A header from Rodriguez that was pretty much straight at him, but it somehow trickled over the line. And from there, Rodriguez completely took over the game. He doubled our lead with a nice little touch and finish inside the penalty area to make it 3-1. And just moments later, stole the ball away from the Nashville defender, was through on goal to complete his hat-trick and complete the 4-1 victory for New England Revolution. So the first hat-trick of the series, the first hat-trick in New England blue for Luciano Rodriguez as well. It was a dominant display against Nashville all in all. Disappointing not to keep the clean sheet. Caught in two minds about that goal. It wasn't great defending in terms of the time and the space that the Nashville player had, but it was a fantastic finish. Which brings us to our second game of the episode against New York Red Bulls, and an opportunity for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to experiment with a change in formation ahead of the opening of the transfer window. If we did try and provide a bit more cover for that back line, this is roughly what it would look like. The same back four, but Maloney paired with Polster in CDM. Carles Hill moves into a far more central position in that number 10 role. Thomas Chonkalai can play left midfield, whilst Rodriguez would play a little further, a little higher up the field at right wing. Vrioni, of course, would be the single man through the middle, but it doesn't seem to have anywhere close to the impact that we would have hoped as we lose 4-2 to New York Red Bulls. Thomas Chonkalai again gets 2. It seems like every time we quick sim a game, Thomas Chonkalai scores 2. He opened the scoring on 20 minutes, an equaliser for New York shortly after, and then they came out of the gates for the second half much quicker, scoring 2 goals in not so quick succession, to be fair. Chonkalai in the 75th minute, and Meyer rounded out a 4-2 victory for New York about 10 minutes from time. Those results do leave us clinging on to a playoff place with a chance to solidify our position in 7th with a game in hand over Charlotte as we take on a team that are in a very similar position to us but in the Western Conference in Vancouver. We're on 23 points after 16 games. They're on 25. They too are clinging onto a playoff spot at this stage. And I think it is worth trying the 4-2-3-1 experiment again here against Vancouver. They are going to line up in a 3-1-4-2, so a fairly aggressive formation. We are, of course, expecting the wide players to drop into wing-back positions, so I'm hoping with the 4-2-3-1 we can overload the midfield and dominate the ball against Vancouver. There are some slight changes to personnel, however. Romney comes into the back four, Noel Buck comes into midfield. Other than that, it is the same 11 that disappointed last time out against New York. So without further ado, let's head over to Gillette Stadium and see if this system is worth investing in come July. So we are up in the commentary box at Gillette Stadium once again. And we are actually moving towards the crunch period of the season. About halfway through, I believe. So playoff places really starting to solidify now. Inter Miami continue to race away at the top of the table. And what a start this could be for Vancouver. What a terrible start to the game. We haven't touched the ball. And Vancouver have already scored. And the intention in this game was to try out this new 4-2-3-1 system. And it's been an absolutely disastrous experiment so far. A 4-2 loss against New York. And within 90 seconds of the kickoff here against Vancouver, we already find ourselves 1-0 down. Absolutely awful start to the game. What a blistering start for Vancouver, though. And we have set up a little more conservatively, I would say, with Carles Hill in the 10 and just the one player up front. So, at the very least, this formation is likely to play slightly worse from behind. So, anytime you go 1-0 down within 90 seconds, obviously not a good thing. But on this particular occasion, it's worse than most. Because we've set up to try and dominate possession in this game, try and control the midfield, try and play a little more of a controlled and pragmatic game. And already that game plan has to go out the window because we are already chasing an equaliser. So Chonkalai will take the throw. Romney will switch the play to Brandon Bai, who will look for Rodriguez. Big switch of players onto Chonkalai, and Rodriguez has found him. Carles Hill taking up a good position, but Chonkalai just cuts in field. And I guess because there is so much football left to play, we don't have to push so hard for an equaliser immediately. Nice from Noel Buck. Giacomo Vrioni couldn't quite bring it down, though, because we do have so long to work ourselves back into the game at the very least. So, silver linings, consolations and all that. What we can't afford to do is concede a second. Not a lot Tyler Dean could have done about the goal, to be fair to him. He's had his moments this season, both good and bad. He's made some incredible saves. He has made some pretty incredible gaffes as well. What I do like about this formation is Chunkalai is still finding space on the left-hand side. He's still taking up some very good positions and getting open. Maloney nods it down to Buck. We saw him score earlier in the episode. Can he do so again here? We saw Rodriguez score a hat-trick earlier in the episode, and he gets an early sight at goal. Pretty disastrous start, but positive signs since then. Thomas Chunkalai now with a bit of space on the edge of the box. Can't find a gap between those Vancouver defenders. And Vrioni will press high and win the ball back. Chunkalai once more. Can he bury it? Yes, he can. And we are already back level. We'll start again. We will start again. It's as if Vancouver never scored. Very, very good response to going down so early in the game. We've seen Solskjaer sides do this in the past. Not do this, but do the opposite, is what I'm trying to say. Capitulate when they go a goal down. Fail to drag themselves back from adverse positions. But that's not what we have done here. Right back level. And Carles Gil immediately trying to get back on the front foot. Oh, Leonard Maloney can't quite win the ball back. And Vancouver have found a little bit of space. Romney puts a stop to that, however. Rodriguez finds Gil. Chunkalai again in space. Again cuts inside. Again shoots from range. Again blocked. Drops to Rodriguez. And it's going to be out for a corner. Really, really good response to that early goal. Put it out of our minds immediately. And already we've turned the game around. Rodriguez to whip this one in. There's Vrioni. Just jumps underneath it, unfortunately. No Buck. Rodriguez, is he onside? I believe so. There's Carles Gil. Manages to bring it down. And already it is 2-1. What a turnaround this has been. 90 seconds into the game, we were 1-0 down. 17 minutes into the game, we are 2-1 up. What a turnaround in front of the home fans. Carles Gil should have a bit more freedom in this particular formation. That is one good thing. In the 4-2-4, 4-4-2, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's kind of almost in a modified 4-3-3 as well. With Chunkalai pushed so far up. And Nacho Gil dropping a little bit deeper. But with our previous system, with only Maloney as a fellow central midfielder, Carles Gil was kind of burdened with some defensive responsibility that we don't really want him to have. With two midfielders sat in front of that back four, Carles Gil is a bit more free to get forward, to find those kind of areas in the penalty area and just on the edge, and to make these kinds of runs. Also to dictate the play, spread the ball around as we've seen him do already. So there are certainly advantages to this formation. Romney comes over and deals with that well. Lima just lays it in front of Chunkalai. And we will keep possession here if we can. Romney to Neumann. Lima, it's actually Chunkalai who's sat in deep on this left-hand side. And we can slow the game down a little bit now. Now that we have the lead. We don't want to take our foot completely off the gas. That's so poor, Brandon Bye. That is exactly what happens when you take your foot completely off the gas. Good challenge from Neumann, though. And we can just shoot clear. Just be safe, just be pragmatic in this particular circumstance, I think. Maloney beaten as Vancouver cut inside. Neumann also beaten. Not on the second occasion, though. And Carles Gil can come away once more. Thomas Chunkalai in space on the left-hand side once more. But that's a poor pass from Gil. Bartu ahead of Chunkalai. He has found Vrioni on the edge of the box, though. Strikes with his left foot when a right-footed effort would have made much more sense. But the game has died down a little bit now. And that's not such a bad thing with the 2-1 lead. Brandon Bye beaten. Good turn of pace from the Vancouver winger. And that's a good header from Romney. A rare start for Romney as he comes in place of Kessler, who's been a very, very good partner to the new boy, Philip Neumann. The new man, Philip Neumann. I guess that's what that translates as, right? Neuer. New. Man. The Neumann. Oh, and Bai is beaten again. Vancouver getting a lot of success down this left-hand side. Not enough success to beat Tyler Dean, though, at his near post. Good save from the rookie first-round goalkeeper. He is already up 1 overall this season. And I expect him to grow probably at least 2 more overall. I imagine he's going to be a 66, 67 by the end of the season. And officially will then be our best goalkeeper in terms of overall. I believe he would be joint with our best goalkeeper. Good challenge. Brandon Bai doesn't get beaten on this occasion. He's been beaten one too many times so far today. A nice little 1-2 with Rodriguez. Sets him away. Chonkalai on that far side. Well defended by Vancouver, though. Well defended. I was waiting for him to make a decision. Either step up and mark Carles Heel a bit more closely, or drop off completely to take away the option of Chonkalai. And he just kind of did neither. Just sat in between the two and forced me to make a decision instead. Maloney sets away Buck. Rodriguez. Bit of space to drive into. Not too many options on ahead of him, though. So we'll just retain possession through Neumann, through Romney, and then eventually Lima. Maloney in a bit of space. As goes for Chonkalai. Not the best cross, though. I mean, put into a decent area. Didn't really manage to pick out a player. Vrioni was well positioned. And we'll press high here with Rodriguez. Rodriguez staying a little further up the field than Chonkalai. Is that a free kick? I thought Brandon Bai had kept that in. That very much still looked in play. Really good challenge from Noel Buck. He's been excellent in today's episode, and he's won the free kick. Really intelligent, mature play from Noel Buck there. Gets back and does some really good defensive work to steal the ball away. And then shows some real maturity just to keep the ball in the corner and draw not only the foul, but the booking as well for Picault, who has had the edge over Brandon Bai in this first half, you would have to say. Chonkalai again in space. Vrioni with a nice run. Can Chonkalai find him? Yes, he can. Vrioni takes it in stride. Can't quite cut inside, though. So we've said there are advantages to this system. Freeing up Carles Heel, for example. Having a bit more cover in front of the back line would be a second advantage. One of the distinct disadvantages, though, it's becoming clear, is the isolation of Vrioni up front. Good challenge. Vrioni has worked so well with Rodriguez up front, having the two strikers to work off each other, and having two strikers who are fairly different as well. Vrioni, a bit taller, a bit more of a target man, but also with that technical ability. Rodriguez with the pace that Vrioni doesn't have. And he gets in at the back post for the finish as well to double our lead just before half-time. And if we can keep Rodriguez in those more advanced positions, and if he can take up positions like that at the back post, if he can get into the penalty area for crosses from Chonkalai, and we can have Vrioni running across the near post, potentially Vrioni being isolated up front won't quite be as much of a problem as it may initially have seemed. But what a turnaround there has been in this first half. 1-0 down after 90 seconds, and we're going to go into the break 3-1 up. Really excellent response. We may have one last chance at the end of the first half here, even to grab an additional goal. Right, instead we just take a short free kick and we can just see the remainder of this first half out. Leonard Maloney. Thomas Chonkalai. It'd be rude not to. Puts it in. Brioni. Brioni still. And he does make it 4-1. There's Rodriguez scoring moments before. And now Brioni moments later. Tucked it just inside the post. The inside of the far post. Really strong play from Brioni to bring it down in the box. And the goalkeeper came out and made himself as big as possible, but when it's tucked that close to the inside of the post, there's no chance the goalkeeper's ever going to be able to narrow an angle that large. And we have a 3-goal lead now. We really can score goals. That is the one thing we can do, really, in any system that we seem to play. It is defensively that we need to improve. And to be fair, we did look very good defensively against Nashville in that 4-2-4 system. And outside of that opening 90 seconds where we didn't even get a chance to touch the ball, we have defended very, very well in this game as well. Chonkalai certainly has pulled the strings. I really enjoyed that particular graphic. Kind of a heat map of sorts. 4 different scorers. Our 4 frontmen. Brioni, Hill, Chonkalai and Rodriguez all getting on the score sheet. And we have held Vancouver to just 2 shots on goal, despite them just edging possession. I mean, it's basically 50-50 and passes attempted is very close as well, but let's try and see this game out in the second half. So back out for the second half here against Vancouver. A pretty dominant display in that first half. Possession pretty much 50-50, but possession isn't the only statistic in the game that can reflect a team's dominance. You know, we did far more with possession. We did far more when we had the ball than Vancouver did when they had the ball. And that's certainly reflective of how a game has gone, as much as, if not more so, than just possession itself. Good defending from Romney again. He's done well when he's come in today. Hasn't had too much of an opportunity to play first-team football this season. With the addition of Neumann and with Kessler continuing to play well, and Rodriguez could be in here. Just a bit too much on it from Brioni. Rodriguez steals it away, though. Straight at the goalkeeper and then blocked by Vancouver. Blocked by Rodriguez as well as the Vancouver defender tries to clear. But we are all over Vancouver right now. Ryan Gould is about to come on. This is a player that I've been interested in career modes previous. He looks an interesting option up front. A centre forward, I believe, rather than a true striker. Very much a fairly low rated, low potential budget kind of option, but looks a well-rounded and relatively dynamic player. So we'll have to be wary of him now that he is on the field for Vancouver. And now as Vancouver probe around our penalty area, Romney again with a fantastic intervention. He's had an excellent game, has Romney. He did ask to come into the starting lineup before the game. Dropped by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's office. And kind of not quite complained that he hasn't been playing first-team football, but politely requested that he could, make an appearance. And he has certainly validated Solskjaer's decision to grant him that request. As I was going to call them Toronto then, Vancouver make another change. One of the wing-backs this time, I believe, being replaced. And I really like the way the game is playing at the moment. I think the game has really settled since the most recent couple of updates. And the jankiness of the game really has disappeared. The things that I complained about, or not that I complained about exactly, but that I identified as lingering problems in the most recent sliders video have all but disappeared, really. One of the issues was the lack of attacking variety from the CPU, and that does still persist, but to a lesser degree. I would say there's not a huge amount of attacking variety. That, you know, there certainly could be more, but it's not anywhere near as bad as it was even a few days ago, I would say. 5-6 days ago. Certainly just before I put the sliders video out. At that point, literally every time the CPU got the ball, they were just dribbling into that little kind of channel either side of the 6-yard box. Great save again by the goalkeeper. Dribbling or passing into that area, and they would refuse to exploit any other area of the field. That's not really the case anymore. We get some long shots, we get some crosses, we get some through balls in behind. Good strike and another decent save from the goalkeeper. Bit more comfortable, that one. And then the other issue was the tackling. The tackle button just did not work at various times. And far too many times than you would like to see. And again, that is an issue that persists, but to a far lesser degree. I would say for the most part, tackling is now fine. Every now and again you get a game where the problem does persist and you just can't tackle, but those are now you know, fewer and further between, rather than it being every single game. And then I think there's just a really nice balance in the game at the moment between pretty much all the different elements of football. Keeping the ball in midfield, you know, short, quick, one-touch passes, building slowly through the lines, and quick transition, end-to-end kind of football. And as I said in the sliders video, the game does tend to go through phases. For a while it'll be a bit more reserved, teams will be sat off, each team will be kind of building their passing moves more slowly, and then there'll be periods of the game where it's a bit more high octane, a bit more end-to-end, both teams pushing for a goal, both teams, you know, just kind of trading transitions. And that's very much what you see in real life football. As the ball goes out of play, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 66 minutes in now. I think a couple of changes are due. And it will just be the 2 changes for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Carles Hill to come off. Bayraktar to come on. Rodriguez and Nacho Hill, the other players, to switch places. Bayraktar, another player who I need confirmation in terms of pronunciation. I believe I'm getting that right, but I mean, I haven't checked. I haven't tried to find this one online, so I could easily be getting that wrong. I'm just going by how it's spelt and how I would imagine it to be pronounced. He looks a decent player, though. Kind of in the similar Noel Buck kind of mold. Very, very young player. Forward-thinking. You know, kind of a diminutive, ball-playing, attacking midfielder who takes up positions on the edge of the box like this one and tries to pull the strings. Brandon Bye, lobbed in behind for Nacho Hill. Giacomo Vrioni at the back post, makes it 5? Makes it 5. I've lost count. I've literally lost count. I was about to say 4. I looked up at the scoreboard and it already said 4. But this has turned into an absolute rout. An absolute rout. Look at the space Vrioni has. And we thought we had problems defensively. Vancouver all over the place. 2 players have gone to close down Nacho Hill. One is lingering kind of around the penalty area, lagging way behind Vrioni. And I mean, this system didn't represent itself well against New York, as we came out 4-2 losers. But it's represented itself very, very well here today. That's a rash challenge, and he could be off. That is a reckless and dangerous challenge that's gone right through the back of, I believe, Maloney, and it's just a yellow. I think he's got off light there, Brian White. I think that easily could have been a red. Will we see a replay? We will. I mean, he's nowhere near the ball. He can't be anywhere near the ball because Maloney is, you know, it's on the opposite side of Maloney. If you're sliding in like that, you have to go through the player before you get anywhere close to the ball. And he was not in control of himself. I think reckless, dangerous. Easily could have been a red. And let's get 6 just to spite Brian White. Claimed well by the Vancouver goalkeeper, though. 15 minutes left in the game. We're obviously not losing this game at this point. I mean, we're obviously getting all 3 points. We're not going to draw either. But a chance to make sure we see out the game without conceding again. And a handball here. A chance potentially for Vrioni to match Rodriguez in terms of grabbing a hat-trick of his own. And a chance potentially to grab a 6th goal. Chonkalai puts it in. Vrioni can't quite win the header. I would like to just make sure we don't concede, though. And we can wipe that first goal for Vancouver off the slate. We were just asleep starting the game. We didn't come out ready to go. They did. And they exploited that. But from there, we have completely dominated the game. Cleared well from Brandon Bye. So let's just see that out. You know, let's wipe that first goal away and say clean sheet for, you know what, 88.5 minutes. That's a poor clearance, though. Really poor clearance. That is not the way to do that. That's a fantastic save, though. Tyler Dean really bailing out the back line there. Can we find Nacho Heel? What a ball that is from Chonkalai. Absolutely inch perfect. Didn't just find Nacho, but dropped it right onto his toe on the run. Vrioni knocks it down to Bayrak Tarevic, who shoots, and it is blocked. Fantastic passing move. We do still have that direct element to our game here. That was something else I worried about with this particular system. That we wouldn't have that kind of direct element to our game where we can just pick up the ball, long diagonal to one of our wingers, and kind of a kick and rush approach, which we definitely have with that 4-2-4. But with our right winger being left so high up the field, we do still have that approach on occasions. So maybe this is just the best use of our personnel, of our players. I think it's certainly looking that way, and that would give us a clear direction to go in the transfer window as well. I don't think we need to bring in many players. I think if we could bring in one additional CDM. Oh, almost found Vrioni in the box. If we could bring in one additional CDM that could pair with Maloney, I think that'd be fine. We have Polster, we have Kay. I'm not enamored by either of them, to be honest, from what I've seen so far this season. So, let me know in the comments what you think. Vrioni blocked again. Let me know in the comments what you think. You've seen plenty of this 4-2-3-1 formation now in this featured game. You've seen more than enough of the 4-2-4. We know we need to make sure that we know we can score goals, so we need to make sure that we can reduce the number of goals that we concede over the second half of the season if we are to make the playoffs. So what is the best way to do that? Bring in a CDM, move to this 4-2-3-1. I mean, of course, we can still use the 4-2-4 formation over the second half of the season. We bring in a CDM next month, and we kind of move more to a 4-2-3-1 as our base formation. That doesn't mean we can't play 4-2-4. You know, it doesn't mean we have to delete the team sheet and never use it again. That can... Great save. Could still be an option that's available to us. What a good save by Tyler Dean. And again, we're looking for Nacho Heel. Thomas Chonkalai, I was going to say he's got that one slightly wrong, but actually he hasn't. Again, he's dropped it right onto the toe of Nacho. Oh, and I was trying to pull it back to Vrioni. Just cut out by Vancouver, though. And there goes the referee's final whistle. And I thought 90 seconds into the game, this was not going to be our day. I was very, very scared about how it was going to go after seeing Vancouver fly out of the gates and put us 1-0 down immediately. But what a performance from there. 2 goals for Vrioni. 1 for Rodriguez. 1 for Carles Hill. 1 for Thomas Chonkalai. I want to say scored. That could be wrong, though. Guess we'll see here. It was Chonkalai. Really good response. Really good performance. Let's see what that does to the MLS standings. And we do cling on to 7th position in the MLS. It is so close at the top of the table. 26 points we are on, as well as Atlanta just below us. 27 points. 6th place Orlando. 28 Nashville and Cincinnati. 29 Chicago Fire. 31 Philadelphia. Inter Miami running away with it, but spots 2 through to 8 are anybody's. And we do face 4th place Cincinnati next up here in June. So a massive, massive game. We need 3 points. So I can't remember if I said I would sim or show you highlights of this one, but I will be playing this game and showing you the highlights. We need to take advantage of the poor run of form that Cincinnati are on. They've won just 1 of their last 5 games. And they are, again, playing 3 at the back. So we'll go back out in that 4-2-3-1 formation that looked so good against Vancouver. Kessler comes back into the back 4, though. Polster partners Maloney in defensive midfield. Like we did against Nashville earlier in the episode, we got off to a rip-roaring start and forced the opposition goalkeeper into a number of saves. Carles Hill delivering a free kick. Thomas Chonkalai winning the header in the box, but saved this time. The preceding corner resulted in a bit of chaos in the penalty area before Vrioni eventually laid it off to Maloney, and we've seen him hit a couple just like this in today's episode. Again, though, the goalkeeper equal to it, diving away to his left-hand side. And yet again, we were causing issues from the resulting corner. Carles Hill again delivered. Neumann it was in the box this time, winning the header, but his, unfortunately, not even on target, flashing wide of the Cincinnati post. But 17 minutes into the game, we would have our lead. Brandon Bai forcing his way into the penalty area. Thomas Chonkalai picking up an excellent position at the back post. Brandon Bai found him, and from there it was elementary. And though Cincinnati had their moments in the first half, we again defended well, and this was pretty much the best chance that they had in the first 45. But we handed Cincinnati a lifeline in the second half. Phil Neumann being sent off for this particular challenge. I think it was harsh. He gets the ball. He does get the man as well, but to be sent off for that seems incredibly harsh. But we didn't allow it to get to us. Cincinnati put the ball into the box with their free kick, but we hit them on a quick counter-attack. Luciano Rodriguez eventually ended up with the ball in the Cincinnati box, and he buried it to make it 2-0. So with 10 men, we were hanging on in the second half. Cincinnati did grab a goal. Tyler Dean coming out to make himself big and tried to smother the shot from Santos, but he lifted it over the body of our diving goalkeeper. But we did manage to hold on with 10 men and see the game out to a 2-1 victory. So another really good performance. We will be without Phil Neumann for the next game, which might make things a little bit more difficult. But we do come away with the all-important 3 points, which sees FC Cincinnati plummet down to 7th, and we rise up to 5th place in the table now, still with a game in hand over those teams around us. So win that and we could rise as high as 3rd. And with 3 wins already in the episode, if we can grab 3 more points against Columbus Crew in the final game, we will have had a fantastically successful episode. Solskjaer has gone back to the 4-2-4 for this one. Robney, of course, coming into the back line to replace Neumann, but the strongest 11 outside of that. But we are absolutely destroyed. Columbus Crew beat us 4-2 last time. They go one better and beat us 5-2 in this return fixture. Ramirez opened the scoring in the 7th minute. Carles Hill misses a penalty just 10 minutes later. Rossi, Cucho, Hernandez both score before half-time. Kessler grabs one back for the Revolution just after the break. Moreira and Cucho score again for Columbus Crew. Chonkalai grabs one late, but a 5-2 victory. Thankfully, though, it seems as if results around the league went our way, and we find ourselves pretty much in the same position as we found ourselves before the game. So we will, of course, see the opening of the transfer window in the next episode, but we'll have 5 more games to get to as well. We'll be facing off against Atlanta, Orlando, and Philadelphia from our own conference, as well as Seattle and Dallas from the Western Conference. So we will look forward to that in the next episode. In the meantime, let me know in the comments below what we should do in terms of our transfer window approach. And I hope to see you in the next one. Take it easy.